Hello everyone, my name is Flavio Pereira. I'm part of the technical enablement team, and this is the data migration lesson 100. We're going to cover the basics of data transfer service and storage gateway and how those two services can help you to move data from on-premises to OCI. So we're going to divide this in a few portions, and the first portion that we're going to talk about is your planning your data migration to OCI. This is very important to start. So when you decided to make that movement, you decided to get all the data running on premises and move that to OCI, you have to have a good understanding of what kind of applications, database you actually want to move, identify their versions, their dependencies, have a good overview of what exactly you actually up and running and how that's going to be translated to OCI as well. So we have other lessons that we cover database options and some of the matrix around versions that can be supported on OCI. It's very good to understand that, to understand what the version supported, how can you translate your version of Oracle database on premises to OCI, how you can bring your own license, all those options available so you can have, you can succeed on your migration. Another aspect of the planning is understand the regulatory compliance. So if your environment is under some compliances directives, for example HIPAA or FedRAMP or even PCI, so you have to understand how the nature of their data is hosted on your own premises and how that's going to be hosted in OCI. Understand how you architect the application, how you architect the environment in order to support that data and respect the compliance that you have to use it. Around the storage too, so what kind of type of storage you have? Are you using cold? Are you using hot storage? How big is the data? How big the storage that you're using today? What's the amount of data you have? This is really important to understand and planning to actually have a good capacity planning when you're moving that to OCI. Another one is the networking portion. Very good aspect is how you're going to transfer that data over to OCI. Are you going to use that through public internet? Are you going to transfer to using VPN connectivity or fast connect? So what kind of methodology you're going to use? What kind of network connectivity you're going to implement to make sure your on-premises data center can talk to the OCI, and how you're going to transfer that data over. Still around in the planning is, again, understanding your environment. Once you get all that information about the environment, you start deciding what kind of environment I want to move. Do I want to move my production environment first? Or I think it would be better if you start doing moving what we call the low-risk environments, development environment, testing applications, Q&A, so things that has less tied in terms of integration and data, so you can get comfortable with the platform, you can get comfortable migrating that data over, so then you can make better decisions when you decided to move your production environment. So how critical is the business you're trying to move over to OCI? What kind of environment you wanna try first? And one of the third options, which is part of the planning too, if you wanna just do a disaster recovery in the first place. Some companies, they don't have a disaster recovery plan today for their on-premises environment. They want to start that with OCI and created a disaster recovery plan to host all the data there. And then eventually ended up moving some of the production environment over to OCI to host that on the cloud environment. And then they have all the disaster recovery across regions and so forth. So this is another thing you have to think about, and how you start planning the migration and collecting all that information to make the best decision when you start looking to move your data to OCI. So on the next portions of the video, we're going to talk about two different types of migrations. We're going to talk about offline migration and online migration. This is just an overview for now of how that's going to look like. So if you're talking about offline migration, we're going towards a data transfer service. and some options you can use there in order to move the data from on-premises to OCI. And we're going to talk about online migration, which is using what we call a storage gateway that you can copy data over to a storage gateway and then send that over to OCI as well. Of course, there's other ways to do online migration, like through Fast Connect or IPsec VPN. We touched a few things there too, but we're gonna tell about those two services: data transfer service and storage gateway.